don't know, fellas. This might be our 30th edition of I Am Science ever. Here on our podcast dash, episode 110. We gotta bring something up. Hey everybody, the opening monologue is going to make you think a little bit. So let's look back to the 1850s in the United States and then in more modern countries like Great Britain, France, Spain, Italy, places like that, where we were still using open or maybe pit style toilet systems. We had there was people whose jobs it was to come dig the pits out in the middle of the night, and there was an actual term for them. I can get that to you later. Hold on that. Stay later in the show, and I will tell you
Okay.
specifically what that job title was and what these people did. And so we also had. I'm going to dial in specifically on America in the 1850s, on Minneapolis, and so they had to start to develop a sewer system, but it was open air, like you think of like our systems in the streets that just help with stormwater drainage. This was a very similar system, and they ran off, of course, into local ponds. They ran off into the river there in between Minneapolis and St. Paul. There was a point in time in the 1870s where the river between the two cities that heads into the Mississippi, or is the Mississippi at that point in Minneapolis,
Right.
had developed islands full of manure. Islands,
Human
human
waste.
waste,
Yes.
right? And the problem that was happening then, by the way, there was no modern vaccines. You didn't have a schedule of 12 even, let alone whatever we have now for a young person that's under 18.
87.
87. Wow. Oh, we didn't have any of that. So, but what we did notice is that if we could fix that problem, sanitation, and we did, so from 1870 to about 1910, Minneapolis, I'm using them specifically because I have data on that, developed a modern sewage system that actually cleaned the sewage and didn't just raw dump it into water that was drinkable by every living thing around, including the plant life. In that, in Minneapolis, ended endemics. It ended pandemics. It ended all kinds of disease. And
Yes,
Really?
that's
it did.
right. That's to my. I'm making the case, and you can argue for or against that. That is the most positive way you can end disease. Vaccines,
Uh,
if you have no sanitation, doesn't really help. Paul, here's where I want to bring you in because you had a vaccine for malaria because you
yep.
went into a third world country
Yep.
that had no sanitation and you got
Malaria. Yeah.
Yeah. How about
And
that?
then they injected me with so the first thing was for 3 months before I deployed, I was taking Larium injections
Okay.
to protect against malaria. Well, that wasn't worth the paper it was written on. Because my second day there, I got malaria.
Okay.
And
If
so,
Paul, just for edification, what year was that?
1999.
Okay.
And so, 104, 105 fever.
No, it's nasty.
It was the worst headache I had ever experienced. And I couldn't feel my hands and my feet, literally. I couldn't feel
Jesus.
my hands and my feet. And the guy one of my colleagues was from Chad, and he was, big strapping, gun barrel black guy from Chad. He got dengue fever and was
Mhm.
dead in 3 days.
He's out.
Dude, I'm talking about we were drinking beer on Wednesday. On
Mhm.
Friday, he was gone.
Yeah, you buried Mr. T. That's
Yeah,
that's how quick it took
literally,
him down.
Mr. T,
Yeah.
just a
And
big
he was
strapping,
by the way you're
you know.
describing him, he was a specimen of pure health,
Oh yeah,
pure
yeah. He
physical
didn't
activity.
smoke. He was athletic. He even at
Strong
his
as a
big
horse.
size,
Yeah.
he was a well-respected cricket player,
Yes.
which I never knew that great, big linebacker guys played cricket. But
British
that's what they
influence
did in his
everywhere. Yeah, yeah,
hometown, so that's what he
yeah.
played in high school and stuff. But I was so damn sick, and I just couldn't recover.
You thought you were going to go too, didn't you?
Yeah, I really when he died, I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm telling you, JC, I swear to God, I'm like, well, it's Friday afternoon. I got till probably about Tuesday.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm doing FaceTime with Tanya, just
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I
I
mean?
get it.
I
Well,
Yeah.
I've never been so sick, and I don't scare easily, but I was scared.
so in that country, in that part of the world, where do people go to the bath? Like, just without being gross, just like to honestly, openly talk about how they handle refuse.
So you know what a French shitter is?
Let's tell everybody for the
Okay, a French
podcast.
shitter is a 2 by 2 porcelain square with foot imprints on it,
Hmm.
and you squat down and you shit down a hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no toilet, there's no anything. It's just you just most
Ready?
locals wear the white stuff, the white robe and stuff.
Yeah.
They just hike that shit up and they just shit. And there's no
Ready?
toilet paper, there's water. So they
Ready,
have a little
squat.
squirt
Ready,
thing.
squat, fire. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
then that's how you clean your ass is by squirting water up in there.
Shoot the
Well,
photon
and
torpedoes. Yeah.
just so people know, even in modern parts of Asia, that's very similar to squat in a hole, but they have sanitation now. Whereas where Paul was, there was
Well,
not.
No,
And
they
you know,
didn't. And it was communal. So
of
my
yeah,
course.
hooch, my landlady's hooch, we didn't
Well,
have
those,
any of that. We had to go, a 50-yard walk. And if you're me with a sensitive stomach,
yep.
I'm
yeah,
doing the fucking penguin walk down the
yeah,
path going, please
yeah.
don't
With
shit
a
in my path, please don't shit in my path,
just squeezing those ass cheeks to make sure there's nothing leaking. Yeah.
please.
Well, no,
And then
no,
Oh,
you
and
we.
squat down and you go, what? And
that
that's
brings
it.
up an honest health issue. Is sometimes people don't make it. So what then do they do?
No, they don't.
They pull their pants down and trowel wherever they trowel.
They just shit. Dude, we'd be on patrol and not so much the women, but the men in East Timor. You just drive down the road and they're just shitting on the side of the road.
Yeah.
They did, everybody walks. A couple of people had scooters, you know. I appropriated a scooter so that I could get around. It was like a Honda 100 scrambler, the old step through kind of thing. I appropriated one of those so that I could get back and forth to headquarters from my hoot.
Procured. We call it procured in the government work.
Oh,
Procured.
that's right. Yeah, that's what I did. I procured it. And yeah, we'd ride down the road and you you'd see a guy take his AK-47 off and lay it down, and pull up his dress, and he'd just sit on the shit on the side of the road.
I've never told anybody this story, but I mean, modern plumbing is very recent. My
Yeah,
family, my family,
1950s,
yeah,
honestly.
my family was in, did a 6-week tour of Germany, Italy, and France because my, uh, my mom's, my mom got pissed at her boss and she started telling him he was going to quit. And he asked her what she wanted. She said, I want a 6-week vacation. So he said, okay. So we grabbed some time with some German relatives and they bought us a VW van and we drove from Germany down through Italy and then back up. We came up in Lyon, France is where
Oh,
I'm
no
talking about.
kidding.
Yeah, yeah, it was nice. It was
That
fun.
was epic, dude.
Yeah, no, Ancona, Rome, all those places, the Roman
So
Forum,
did
and
you
that was
camp
back when
in
I
the
was.
van, or did you go
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah. Now I
B&B's
was,
or something?
well, some nights, but yeah, I was studying the Roman Empire in school at that time, so this really brought it to life. Saw the Circus Maximus and all these things. Anyway,
Oh,
we're headed back. We're headed towards Paris, and we stop in Lyon, and they must have had some festival because you couldn't find any place to stay. And we were going to camp in the van, but there was this whorehouse, and I mean that's what it was. And it was by the side of the road, and my parents were, you know, what are we going to do? You know, they've got
well,
a
let's stay at
room
the
or whatever.
whorehouse.
They got a
Yeah,
room.
that's fine. You could hear them next door. I mean, it was very educational for a 12-year-old. Anyway, and in the middle of the night, I had to go. All right, okay, since this is what we're talking about,
Yeah.
and I went down. I found the men's room, and I opened the door, and it looked like a shower with a hole in the ground. I didn't know what to
Yes.
do. I didn't know what to
Yes.
do. I just panicked and I held it and I went back to I went back to the room and my dad said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I guess so." I went back to sleep and of course I loaded my pants. Last time in my life I ever did that, but I
Oh
couldn't figure it
man.
out. I
Yeah.
couldn't figure it out. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, I got you.
yeah,
Yeah.
it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that was 1974. That's only 50 years
Well,
ago. It's not that
it
long.
even with that style of, let's just call it a toilet, it's not a
Sort of.
toilet, it's a hole
No,
on
it's
a tile floor.
lavabo.
It's a hole on a
Lavabo. Yeah, it's a
tile floor
hole in the
usually.
floor, yeah.
But but by 1974, even then, they had, modern refuse plumbing to
Right,
rid
right.
it, sanitize it, recycle the
Oh,
usable
sure. Yeah,
water.
they had 3-inch pipe going to some kind of septic
Somewhere.
or some kind of system. Yeah,
Yes.
so it even
Some
in
leaching.
Bosnia, you have some of these legacy restaurants and stuff that were, built in 14, you know,
Yeah.
and they don't update them with 3 stalls with doors and all that kind of stuff. They just have this little porcelain 2 by 2. You go in there and you shit. The guy comes in next to you. He's washing his hands.
Yeah,
But it's
I mean,
also a cultural thing.
yeah,
No,
yeah, go to
you know what I mean?
Taiwan. Go to
Nobody.
a five-star restaurant in Taiwan. Their bathrooms look like this because those are the
Yeah,
way that's their custom.
that's the custom. Yeah, and nobody looks at you. You don't need. There's no privacy, and it's awkward for me because when a grown man walks in, I go.
Yeah. Sure.
As soon as you're done, I'll let go. But I'm just gonna sit here and watch
But
you wash your hands.
not I
Okay,
mean,
so
I've been blocked so many times recently on X. I'm sorry, Sean, just for a minute. I've been blocked so many
yeah, go
times
ahead.
recently on X because they were showing that video clip of the Indians throwing shit on each other. And I made a
Oh,
comment about something, and this gal comes back and says, "Well, you're such a cultural imperialist. You're all this, you're all that." So I just clicked on her page for a minute, and she's got a picture of that, and I said, "But there you are making fun of Indians throwing shit on each other, and you're going to reprimand me, right,
yeah,
for being a cultural imperialist? What are
yeah.
you,
I
block?"
I
You
call
know,
that I call
I
that a
mean,
clickbait. I call that a clickbait capitalist,
yes,
right? And that is the perfect term for accounts like that. They
Right, no,
purposely
I called her
enraged.
out immediately, and of course I got blocked. I get blocked by those bitches all the time. I mean, they don't wanna traffic in reality. They just wanna sit high above it and throw darts. That's all they wanna do.
Yeah.
So this show obviously is about poop talk, but I'm not talking about use of toilets. What I'm talking about is actual sanitation and how the West, in America did it best, but the rest of the West followed, was that we started to do sanitation practices. And to your point, there was houses still in 1950 that did not have proper septic or
Oh,
proper public sewer. So it
Yeah.
wasn't until 1950 when we solved this, but the bulk of the work was done from 1870 to about 1930 in the major cities. And in the major cities, what we found was endemics, is what they called it then. I Yes, we could do an endemic is less than
That
a pandemic,
yeah,
it's
that's
less than
not
a
yeah, that's not a
superdemic,
thing.
is less
But
than a
yeah.
megademic. They ended diseases simply by taking care of their trash and taking care of their human, excrement.
Yep.
right. And hey,
And
Sean,
it had nothing to do with medicine.
one last thing before we move on to the main point. You still live in a state that's the outhouse capital of the Eastern United States. You know that.
Oh, I'm well aware.
The remnants, yeah, the remnants
You
of the
Like, literally,
non,
if you drive out of the major cities and just drive
yeah,
through the country, you'll still see. Now they'll have a septic and they'll have toilet in the house, but the outhouse is still on the property,
yes, it is.
and it's still
Yes, it
full.
is.
It's still full.
Yes.
'Cause who cleans that out? Nobody cleans those out.
Nobody. But you remember, you talked about the guys who used to have to clean that out in the major cities. There's nobody that'll do that work now. I guess you could say the illegals would do it, but I think even they won't do it.
They won't do it.
Nobody nobody wants to swim in someone else's shit. That's what it boils down to.
Right?
I'm sorry, Paul. Well, for what it's worth, it smells horrible and it's filled with bacteria.
And
You know,
parasites. And parasites.
yes,
Parasites are, a large cause of cancer.
yes, we are finding that out, even though the authorities don't want to admit that.
Mm?
There's a lot of things they don't want to admit because it would cost them money. That's what we're coming to find out.
Wait, is it gonna cost them money or is it gonna cost us money?
No, no, them. That they want to bill 62. Listen, the great inflation, they're billing $62,000 a month for chemo, and you can cure it with $34 worth of fenbendazole and ivermectin. And they don't want you to do that. They want you to take the $62,000 worth of chemo and blow away your entire immune system and die younger anyway. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because that makes a lot of mortgage payments. It does.
Well, I wait, by the way, can I have a 50-year mortgage on an outhouse?
No, it's not a growth industry, Sean.
So speaking of that, tomorrow morning at 11:30, we close on the deal where I sell both my pastures
Wow.
and I pay off everything.
It's the end of an era.
And then
You gotta move to the big city, right?
my $5,000 every 2 weeks is
Mhm.
going to go a long way.
I was wondering if you were still going through with that, Paul, because I know your health improved, but I know hers hasn't.
No, it hadn't. But I got other good news, JC, I wanted to tell you about.
All right.
So we finally got the Tysarby infusions approved by Cigna.
Good.
And then
That was good.
an alternate insurance company came forward and said, "Hey, we understand you're doing Tysarby infusions. We have a program that's kind of like a grant where we issue you a credit card and we pay your out of pocket and it's no cost to you. So she gets all of her infusions and nothing out of pocket. It's $100,000 a year and it's no out of pocket for us.
Talking. All
That's
right.
good news. That's
So
good news.
I want to
Hey,
I want
Paul.
a AMC G wagon, um, Brabus edition with diamond
Hey,
encrusted 27-inch wheels on it.
dude,
All right. Well,
that thing doesn't have
God,
that doesn't have autopilot on it.
God answers prayer.
The G wagon doesn't have autopilot on it. You want a Jeep Wagoneer?
I
150
hate the
grand
G.
with
So
autopilot.
my whole life,
I'm
I
just saying you want
aspirated.
autopilot.
I really wanted a G wagon. I've always wanted one, and
Sure.
I drove one about 6 months ago. It was $215,000. It was
Hmm.
brand new. It was badass. I drove it and I hated it.
People listening to
I
this, because
hated
most
it.
of the people that listen to this are my age or older, and they're all men. I get all the analytics from all of the places we podcast. We do
Yeah.
have a few women, we do have a few Canucks, and we have one weird dude from India that listens. Hi, Indian dude. Thank you for
What
listening.
about the guy from
The,
Singapore? That's the
the
important. That's the important guy.
Paul, all I was gonna say, yes, but Paul, all I was gonna say is everyone's going, holy shit! My first home was less than 100 grand. You're paying 250 for a car,
Yeah. Yeah. So
right?
I backed off of that because even though I just loved it blindly, when I finally got to test drive one and I was financially able to get one, I
Hmm.
said, I'm not buying this piece of shit. The wind noise, the instability of it. I mean, it rocked all over the.
Well, it's like an old '80s Lincoln Continental. Just
Yeah, it was like a float boat, you know.
yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So
All right, so I'll steer you back where we're going with this.
Can I grab 1 minute, Sean, and then you can set it up? When you guys first asked me to come on and talk about vaccines and polio, for instance, which was the first one, and I started looking into RFKJ's statement that more kids would have died from cancer than would have died from polio. More cancer was caused by the polio vaccine than kids that would have died from
yeah,
polio. If you look at the vectors and the charts that you're talking about with sanitation and everything, sanitation is what cured polio
Yep.
much more than the
Yeah.
vaccine. And the vaccine caused all sorts of side effects, including cancer and things like that in people that took it. But we've taken it on authority that it's essential. You've got to do it. And the answer is you don't. You really don't. You don't
That
have to do any of it. Back to
that's
you.
exactly where I'm going, and we have proof of it starting in around the 1850s in America. And Europe quickly followed America because by the 1850s, we were already a powerhouse on our way to becoming a superpower. Because of, I'm not going to give people too much politics on this show, but basically because of our free and open markets in it wasn't capitalism necessarily, but it was just free and open. It was private property and open markets,
Free
which
trade
which
on the
really
continent. Right.
which led to capitalism, and that's fine. That's not what we're getting into. What I'm getting into is that we decided that everybody got healthy. We made America healthy for the first time. Not
Right.
again, not Maha, just
Oh,
Ma,
we're not even
M
close
A
right now.
M
Yeah.
A H. By so first was modernizing sewer systems and figuring out how we could clean and reuse a lot of that water.
Right.
Second was trash removal and proper trash removal whether it was through incineration or what we found was best was compost. Throw it in a dump, bury it, stick some pipes in the ground, and light the methane on fire. And the
Right.
methane does nothing to everyone that's going to go, well, the climate. Methane doesn't hurt the climate. Methane lit on fire doesn't hurt the climate. Methane would probably, if you have natural gas piped into your house, it's most likely methane. Yes, Paul.
So we have a contract at Fort Leonard Wood in Missouri.
Yes,
And
God's country.
yes,
God's country.
God's country. They have a big lake out there and all that kind of stuff. Part
Oh,
of
it's
our
a methane lake. You can't. It's poison. You can't get in the methane lake.
right. So part of it is environmental remediation.
Yeah.
So what we call in the business a differentiator that makes us more popular than our competitors is we have this environmental remediation with methane where we capture it, store it, and reuse it for heating elements
Yes.
at the outlying. JC, you're familiar with Mora, the lake of the Ozarks, and
Yes. Yes.
that area. It's a big
Yeah,
recreational
and
area.
and yeah, and X that I've known pretty well owns $1 million estate on that lake. Yes, I'm very
Yeah,
familiar.
so
Yeah.
that's all methane heat that we use there, and the public grills that they have out there. They just have a little copper pipe
Just
coming out of the
turn it
ground.
on. Yep, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Well,
you just
yeah,
turn it on and
here's
strike,
something
and
people don't realize also is that there's a couple of gases you can burn indoors. One would be kerosene.
kerosene is
Not a good idea necessarily unless you have the right setup, but methane. So you could have a kerosene furnace or a heater or a methane furnace or even a gas methane heater because they're vent free. The exhaust from the
you don't need
flame
to vent it.
is
Yeah,
not
Doesn't kill you. Right.
poisonous. It's
it's
not
not
poisonous.
toxic. Yeah,
It's not toxic. And
yeah,
that's they've just terrified people of this stuff and forced everyone onto this terrible, smelly, ugly electric heat. And it does stink. It just
It's
yeah.
the
burns.
worst. It's
It
And
the
so
worst.
burns
we've been
you.
awarded several recognitions for our use of methane, in a recyclable.
Yep.
I'm just going to make up words here because JC's here and he intimidates me with his intellect. So,
Well, he's the pharmacist trademark.
The pharmacist trademark, right? Listen. I help my friends, Paul, especially when they have pneumonia. Anyway, go ahead.
No shit. All right, so again, where I'm moving forward with this is none of this had vaccines in it when I'm moving from
No,
1850 to
no, and
1870 to
they weren't responsible.
1890 to
No,
1910 Chicago when they put in modern sewer systems to 1950 Appalachia or Lake of the Ozarks or
anyway,
anywhere you can think of. When we finally finished this in the 1950s, disease was gone. Why? Because we
sanitation.
took care of sanitation.
right.
Now, when I'm going to make that's my key focal point of this entire show is sanitation ended disease. Do people still get sick? Of course they get sick. Viruses happen.
And
Jason
let me
jumped in,
add.
and I want to go back to Paul because I really want
Okay, go
him
ahead.
to
Go ahead.
talk. No, I want you to jump in
No, no,
on what I said, and then I
of
want Paul
course,
to explain that we are not the third world. He's been in the third world
of course,
recently.
of course, I will. I've got to intimidate Paul with my vocabulary later, but let him go ahead now.
Paul, where is North Africa with sanitation? Are they still
Probably the
pooping in the
40s.
sand? Oh, so they're pooping into a trough at least and
Yeah,
scooping it away. Okay.
yeah. And most of the sewage and the all falls are in open trenches. They're in, but what's
Which time
really
out.
odd,
This is
Sean?
what you would have seen in Minneapolis in 1870 is open
Yeah,
trench
so
sewer.
this is what's odd, Sean. They engineer the open troughs so that they flow, but they go right down the middle of Main Street.
Yes.
It's not
This
like
is
up
what
against the curb.
Minneapolis would
No,
look
it's
like in
just like right
1870.
down the middle of Main Street and goes to a cistern,
Yep.
No.
right? And they
Yes.
have this, really I don't want to say barbaric, but really
It is.
rudimentary uh uh
All the
recyclable. Yeah, it's not even recyclable, dude.
no,
It's
the word is medieval. There you go. All right.
yeah,
Well,
that
it really is.
It is.
I mean, if you go back to 1500s England and the royalty up on the top floor of the castle, um, they had a porthole. To
Yes.
send it over the side of the
yeah,
castle, right to the bottom,
yeah.
and then they would have a servant get rid of that. So basically, we're
Guys, gosh.
talking.
No, anyone who thinks Sean is exaggerating needs to read Luther's large catechism, where
Yeah.
Martin Luther, the original, not Martin Luther King, but Martin Luther, the guy who could think,
Oh my God.
he lets fly with the idea. He gives the analogy of when the Pope sits on his throne over Europe. What happens to Europe is the Pope dropping feces on the people of Europe and expropriating their wealth and, and dropping and throwing in. Then the droppings come like rain. That was
And
his
they
yes.
literally dropped it from the sky because they were in their
Yes.
tall buildings or castles, and they had
Right.
an outpost off the edge of the castle that was a
Right.
hole they would sit on,
And there it goes.
and so they didn't have a sanitation problem.
No.
It was the servants below that had a sanitation problem.
Yeah.
They
So
had to clean it up. They didn't even have a choice. If they didn't want to inhale it, they had to get rid of it.
Mm,
so in South Sudan, Juba and places like that, um, they had this organic way. They would talk, it looked like, to me, it looked like 3 foot long asparagus, but it was some kind of plant, that had a stalk on it and a
Yeah.
seed pod at the top like asparagus does. And they would bundle that up and take it to the cistern and they would throw it in there. And unbelievable, I'm telling you, unbelievably, there was no smell. It would negate all of these things. And
But
I'm like,
look, I'll go
where'd you come up with that idea? And they're like, no, we didn't. It
composting
was
and
the Old
fertilization
Testament,
and plant
4
growth out
AD.
of hold on, composting, plant growth, fertilization, all that stuff. I'm totally fine with finding ways to use
to
what
mitigate.
what is usable. That's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at, Paul, is that figuring out how to do things like that in third world countries that are 500 to 1,000 years behind the United States,
Yeah.
we should just let them do that. But we also have to accept that because of the way they do things, they are going to be infested with
Disease.
parasites, bacteria, and disease, virus. whereas the modern West isn't. And so when you see what I see, and the whole reason I thought of this is because no way Jose Padilla, I believe he's a senator, has been crying about we need to fire Bobby Jr. from
Oh, come
HHS because there was a case of measles. And, the question begs, well, why did we import the measles?
Right.
Because we were measles free. And then we start looking, there's
That's right.
other diseases showing up. And you go, well, wait. Well, they're like, oh, it's all Bobby Kennedy's fault. And like, you go, no, no, no. Hold, hold on. Let's look at this big picture from 50,000 feet, not
Yeah.
30, 50.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at this. And that's where JC and I came up with, and we're going to do some more about this, but sanitation. Because sanitation was what eradicated disease
disease.
amongst the Western people, not vaccination. I'm not saying all vaccinations are bad still. We'll get into that later. I'm talking purely about sanitation ended endemics.
Yeah.
I'll go a little farther than you, Sean, and say vaccines that are stabilized by heavy metals are bad. Okay? Because heavy metals are poison. And let me recycle one of my favorite stories about the discovery of penicillin. 6 petri dishes in front of a window in Great Britain when they were studying how to get rid of bacteria. And believe me, when you've got a bunch of feces laying around, you've got bacteria. All right. Feces is not something that breeds viruses. It's filled with organic matter, and
That's
bacteria
right.
are organic. Let's get our terms straight.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Viruses are a different deal. So you've got these heavy metals in this petri dish as the
Viruses and parasites, not.
right, right. No, they're basically the same thing. They're a lot closer than they are different. A parasite is an organism, but it behaves like a virus, and it behaves like a cancer, which is where we're going with all of this eventually. 6 petri dishes, one, two, three, four, five, with heavy metals in them, trying to see which limits the growth of bacteria, and the sixth dish gets contaminated because of the window was open and they didn't control it or whatever. And so now they're measuring how much of the bacterial growth was inhibited by arsenic, how much by lead, how much by zinc, how much by this, how much by that. And really, they're mostly ineffective. And the sixth dish is clear. Well, why? Well, there's this mold. It got contaminated. The mold ate the bacteria alive. The mold was penicillin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay? You got the answer. You're not going to poison your way to health. What you're going to do is augment your immune system to save you. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
We're still trying to poison our way to health with chemotherapy.
Agreed.
We're trying to poison the cancer out of our bodies,
Well,
and we're spending $62,000 a month to kill ourselves, to
it,
kill the stuff that would save us.
the fact that there has been a mild success rate with chemo, and
Some
they advertise that so well, is what keeps people believing in it, as opposed to the stuff we're talking about. Like, recharge your immune system
immunity, right,
instead of poison your body.
right.
I mean, you already poison your body every day by going and eating stupid shit, um, or
There's some poison right there.
or
Yeah, I'm
drinking.
doing it.
Well,
I'm
I
doing
don't
it
know, but
live. I'm poisoning my
I
body live.
man, when we were pub hopping, um, with friends with the flu in college, we always laugh because we're not going to get the flu like you have it because we're drinking whiskey and beer. It's just going to kill it
I,
all.
I will tell you. I will tell you the truth. Part of my the fact that I still have my adult teeth is due to beer, because no bacteria could survive the amount of beer. So they can't destroy my gums or my teeth. My liver, maybe, but not my teeth. Okay, so yeah, my teeth are still in my mouth.
If Elon could make livers, oh, could you imagine?
No.
What's wrong with you, bro?
We're digressing a bit, but even okay. Let me rewind for a minute to reset you, Sean. The play Les Miserables,
Mhm.
which doesn't do justice to the to Jean Valjean carrying Marius through the sewers of Paris. Can you imagine what he encountered down there in the
No, I
sewers of
actually
Paris?
can't. I really can't, physically, because I've never seen, other than obviously I've seen, we already talked about outhouses that are still out, like,
Oh yeah, they
defunct, but still
yeah,
there. But I no, I can't imagine the, what 1700s sewers that John
1850.
Valjean.
Human waste up to your chin with another man on your back,
Mhm.
and you're carrying him to safety, and you're
Why did
trying to.
Stephen King rip him off, the artist off, the author off, and write this story about Shawshank Redemption? Stephen King's a fraud, by the way.
Absolutely. No, he totally ripped him off, and nobody talks about it. But it's one reason I won't even bother with that film. Well, once I heard what it was about, it's like, yeah, that's the same thing. And Victor Hugo did that, and he did it right, and he did it back when France was great, not now when France is not so great and basically Muslim. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, well, the tangent needed to be said. So France, they have you're saying at the time, not modern sewer system. He's literally in the old sewer system. He's chin deep. He's carrying the
Indeed,
man out.
carrying the man away from the battlefront where they had the barricade, and and slogging through it like he's walking through quicksand. And Victor Hugo gives you 60 excruciating pages of description of this journey and this man who is saving the boy who's going to take his beloved daughter away from him when he saves his life. I mean, this guy is basically a Jesus Christ figure. And that's the reason why there's so much for liberals as well as conservatives in that show. And everybody loves it because they take away it touches their heartstrings in the way that they want them touched. And that's why it lasted 25 years or longer. I mean, it still runs sometimes.
Oh, much
And
more. I mean, my high school band, I was playing the quads, the drums,
yeah,
and you're talking 30-ish years ago, and
yes.
one of our high school halftime shows was Les Miserables. I mean, we
Uh,
took 20 minutes and no
Andrew,
speaking, no singing, but we did the
right.
show in 20 minutes.
Andrew Lloyd Webber, Sarah Brightman, the most perfect vocal cords a woman's ever had. The woman singing about how her daughter was taken from her, and or take my child, and raise her to the light and all that. And this guy takes care of her. And of course, I'm one of those saps who sits there and thinks because I've got this adopted daughter. I mean, my adopted daughter's middle name is Cosette, for God's sake. I mean, that show affected me, and it always and we men like us always have a mission. All right, the fact is we're trying to do the best we can for our kids and to raise them to the light. That's what we're about, and we're about leaving the world better than we found it,
Mhm.
and navigating the sewers of Paris, the most the biggest hellscape possible to imagine for modern man, to assist a man who's going to take your daughter from you is like giving your only son unto death. It really, it seriously, it just plays with your mind.
It
You
really
talk about
does.
I mean, a total psyop, like what we were talking about last night. You know, it absolutely reaches into your soul and grabs you. And yet it's based on, if you understand the show, it's based on sanitation.
Yes.
Without that angle, it's not as meaningful.
Yes. I don't think. I mean, I've got two guys that really can talk about this. I don't think we're explaining it well enough. That sanitation was the solution, not modern medicine. I mean, Paul, we already explained, took all the stuff his company or his government made him take, and he still got the shit because he went to a shit country.
And when we were
He got
there,
it. He got it because vaccines don't work.
uh,
Vaccines don't work nearly as well as sanitation.
They
They can
don't
help,
work. They don't
but
work.
if you're,
People still got polio after the polio vaccine was
of
invented.
course they did. In fact,
A
sometimes the polio
president,
vac,
a president did.
Sean, sometimes the polio vaccine gave it to them. It did.
so
But no one's ever studied it enough to quantify it because they don't want to. For the same reason that they don't want to tell you that chemotherapy doesn't cure your cancer, it kills your immunity along with the cancer, and then you hope
Yeah,
for
it
the
does.
best. It's like a lottery ticket.
Paul, did you want to jump in here because there's a lot of plays I can roll right now.
Go for it. I've
I
talked
want to get
enough.
I want to get
I wasn't
Paul.
even planning on doing this. I know Paul was the featured guest here, and I'm
Yeah,
just going on.
yeah. We were going to talk about sanitation. That's all. Sanitation that eliminates disease.
so when I was in East Timor, one of our missions, and I'll keep it sanitized,
Yeah,
was
sure.
was to go from point A to point B and secure a an asset.
No, let me redirect you. So East Timor, you guys brought in potable well systems, water well systems, clean well systems with filtration.
Yeah.
Something happened there, but the end result after they all got sick from clean water was they all did fine. They did really well. They
Yeah.
had clean water,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh, can you like for everyone that's never heard this story? Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah. So that was in Darfur
Oh,
in
Darfur.
Sudan.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, I just, but I wanted to tell you this other story first,
Okay, go ahead.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
So our mission was to go from point A to point B and secure an asset that had pledged allegiance to the new government that the CIA was trying to install there.
It's new.
Well, we couldn't get to point B unless we went through the sewer. So there were 7 of us that went through the sewer about, I'd say, 1,500 yards.
Wow.
Uh, which was not fun.
No, no.
I, and
How high was the
past
sewage?
once you got past 50 yards into the entrance, you no longer had fresh air coming from the entrance, where we went in.
Jeez.
So
Good
we had to
grief.
cut the grate. We had to, get our grinders out and cut the grate so we could access it. And then we were probably most of the time waist deep, but it got as much as chest deep. And there was nothing we could do. You have to accomplish the mission. And so we popped up into building X. We found the asset and we secured him and we took him back the same way. And he was like, he was, I don't want to say royalty, but, he was a clean,
Oh, he was a member of Led Zeppelin.
yeah,
Was
yeah.
he
And so
was
he's like,
he was
bruh,
soft. Okay, right.
bruh, bruh, what are we doing? And I'm like, we got to get out of here. He's like,
Yeah.
bro, can we go out through the parking lot? And
Can
I'm
we
like,
go out through the door? Yeah.
no, that's not going to work.
No,
You
they're
have
gonna
to
kill
come with
us.
us. And he's like, bro, that's nasty. And I'm
Yeah.
like, tell me, that's how we got here.
Right.
Yeah, we know.
You
Yeah,
can see it on our uniforms.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we finally got him. We got him down, brought him back, accomplished the mission. And 5 years later, 3 of the 7 died.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
What did they do you know what they died of?
It, it was
I'm
tough, dude.
well, I'm not trying to be
No,
an
no, I
asshole.
know.
It comes naturally. All right.
I'm trying to talk. I just can't.
All
It
right.
was
It's
tough, man.
emotional. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
get
get
it.
it,
My
but that this
boys,
all lines up exactly with the conversation that we're doing of sanitation, right? You had to go through the sewer
Yeah,
for a mission to acquire an asset. Procure, by the way, procure is the correct
procure an asset. Yeah,
federal terminology. You procured an asset,
yeah,
and then you had to take that asset back through that
yeah,
same sewer tunnel, which if you would look at sewer tunnels in the 1870s or the early 1900s, maybe even Chicago being a very modern city, New
yeah.
York at 1900 being a very modern city, they looked like what Paul is talking about.
Yeah.
They were not what we have today,
No,
and
these
they
were
leaked
totally stone made. You know, half round
Yeah.
with a
cisterns.
flat bottom, and it went out into a cistern. That's where it flowed out into, and uh,
And everybody was always sick.
it was a bad
Everybody.
day, bro. It was just a bad day.
And
Filled with
listen,
sludge. Yeah.
no vaccine, even if you had them in the 1870s, no vaccine could have prevented any of that
No, there's
illness.
nothing. Yeah, and so we all went to the med tent. After we got back. So the only water we had was seawater. So we all went out and kind of cleaned off with
Best
seawater,
you can.
which is nasty. You're like, yeah, this is great.
You're already dehydrated and
Yeah,
everything stinks and you're nauseated. Yeah,
yeah,
no doubt.
yeah, yeah. All of us. That's funny you
Yeah.
say that, JC.
Yeah.
All of us, once we got back, I don't know the psychology of it, but when you're doing it, you're doing your mission and you're going to accomplish your mission. We got the asset back. We got him secured, got
Right.
him to the CIA guy, that his handler,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and then all 7 of us just spent the afternoon throwing up.
Of course.
Just It was just the weirdest thing.
All right, so you rescued Britney Spears, but how long were you guys sick after that? This is a serious question. How long do you guys were you guys not just because of knowing and thinking mentally, holy crap, I walked through a river of doo doo
Shit. Yeah.
twice, but how long were you physically ill once you after you bathed in the sea, and then came back to up to camp?
So, other than the three guys, the rest of us just walked it off. I
That's
never
an
had
immune
any
system.
other. I had
That's
no
an immune
nothing.
system that you
Just
have that works
just nothing.
properly.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just like, that sucked.
Oh, it's disgusting. I
Yeah.
hated it. Thank God. Hoorah! I love my country.
How old were you, Paul?
40.
Okay. Immune system's still fully intact at 40. I mean, it hasn't
So
begun to degrade at
so
all.
I'll tell you,
I mean,
JC, I was bench pressing 350. I could
yeah,
do 80 push-ups in one stop. You know what I mean? I was fit.
right.
I was
Here,
fit.
Well,
here's something.
you could have kicked Bobby Jr.'s ass at the time.
Well, here's something.
Yeah.
Here's something that'll amuse you. Everybody loses 1% of kidney function every year, 40 and after.
Oh,
So
really?
you're 68 now, so your kidneys are 30%, 30 basis points less than they were that day.
Oh,
But
wow.
your kidneys were fully functioning. All
Yeah.
right. And I would bet the guys who had difficulty with it might have been a little bit older.
They were
Uh,
older than me.
yeah,
They were
yeah.
older than me.
Immunity is a young man's game. It is, and
So
especially with the
so
assault.
these
Yeah,
guys were that's funny. God damn. That is so funny you say that. These guys were Australian National Police,
yeah.
all in their mid to late 50s,
There you go.
assigned to my squad.
Okay.
So there were 3 Aussies and 4 Americans, and we had a 7-man team to go do this. Now, a couple of the Americans were late 40s, early 50s, but it was just the 3 Australians.
Yeah, they kicked it. Yeah.
Well, is it for the audience? Isn't typically private military contractors in their 40s because they retired from the
Yeah,
military and they're like, fuck
yeah.
it, I want to keep doing
That's what I did.
military.
I retired from law enforcement and said,
Right.
dude, I'm going to PMC. I'm a cape and a mask guy. I'm not giving up now.
Right, like holy rusted metal, Batman. We need to go save that girl.
Yeah. And
Right?
I'm still that way, bro.
Well, I look, the funny thing about that, and this is a totally different show, is the whole save the girl world thing doesn't work for the young people because the young women reject men.
Thank,
Yeah.
thank.
And it's through their training, through
Yep.
schooling, through generations of their parents being super liberal. But I'm not getting into that. Just honorable mention that men have no chance of actually
Honorable mention.
reproducing these
That's so funny
days.
you say that because I don't know if I told you this last time we met, but I went to DC to the big army
Yeah, we
convention,
did a
right?
whole show on that thing. We had the
Yeah,
videos, the photos.
yeah.
It's a
And
good show.
so
Yeah.
we're flying back home, and this really cute little gal was behind me. We're, you know, boarding on the aircraft, and she's struggling. And so I turned around and said, "Let me help you, ma'am." And I grabbed her bag, and she goes, "Leave me alone.
Hmm.
I can
Yeah.
do my bag." And I'm like, "You're from DC, not from Texas." I mean, I didn't say that out loud, but you know what I mean? On the inside, I'm
Dude,
like,
I did.
yeah,
There's no way a 20-year-old guy right now has a chance
he doesn't
to
have a
get
chance,
married.
dude. there's just no
It's
chance unless
unbelievable.
you're down in Texas or one of
And
the
that
southern
20-year-old
states.
guy has a nice apartment with sewer system
Yeah.
and a trash guy that takes his trash away.
There's absolutely no recognition of that at all in the popular culture. It's all just Zoran mythology. It's ridiculous. It really
So,
is.
Casey, let me tell you what the real oxymoron is to this is when I got to my seat, I had I hit the armrest or something with my overhead
Yeah,
and I dropped it. You know, it just hit the armrest and came out of my hands.
yeah.
And the young man in front of me turned around and he said, "Hey, can I help you with that?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, you
Of
can. Thank
course.
you,
Hell
young
yeah.
I
man."
think no, well, no, I think that's the thing. Young men are going back to traditional trad life, and they're just gonna go, "Hey, look, women, if you wanna come along with us, you're welcome to join. If you don't wanna join, we're gonna just trad life and have a
Yeah,
good time without you."
yeah,
The only issue with that is that the population doesn't grow because
right,
the 19th Amendment made it so that women became the power structure of the American government. That's 5 shows in itself, and I could do it with the legislation and the how it came in constitutional amendment, but
right.
I'm just laying it out there.
Yeah,
It would be incomplete without a study of Republican consultants who for 50 years have been trying to kiss the ass of white women because they vote more frequently, and
I
they
have told you this, JC. People, if you're a staffer for somebody that I don't care if it's at the state level or the federal level, if you honestly need political advice as a consultant, JC and I are available at $3,000 an hour. We will fix your campaign and we will get you elected. I
you'll win.
promise you, we will get you elected.
You'll win. No, you
We'll
absolutely
win.
will win. I mean, the instincts of Trump with the strategy behind it to pull it off. That's what we offer.
that's right. Yeah,
I
Yeah,
mean,
we're cheap.
right
At
right
three
now, if
thousand
I
dollars
was
an hour, we're cheap. We're super cheap as consultants.
and what I would say right now is this doesn't have a thing to do with sanitation, except cleaning out the sewers of DC. If you're with me, it would be Trump needs to announce tomorrow that he's moving the Department of Agriculture to Kansas City. He's moving the Bureau of Land Management to
Indianapolis,
Wyoming, Wyoming,
Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, wherever. He's moving. He's moving the Department of Education if
I
it still
love that
exists.
decentralized. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, yeah. That'll break up the
Do
swamp.
it.
That's what he should do.
Spread the
And
swamp all the way out so that they don't live in the swamp.
the Acela corridor. They should not all live with each other. They should not go to school with each other. They should not be friends with each other. The
They
apps,
need
the
to
media should
live.
the
Yep.
media should the media should hate them so they can hold them accountable. All right? They shouldn't be
Right.
classmates. They shouldn't be friends. Caitlin Collins, the cigar store Indian, shouldn't be sitting there kissing their asses every night on CNN, and Abby Phillip doing the curled lip, but Scott,
Oh
what
yeah,
what
like
are
she
what
does
are
it.
the women gonna,
Yeah.
I mean, just get them all out of there. And when someone says to me, you're a Trump honk, well, actually, I'm not. I think he's too moderate. I think he needs to be more aggressive on stuff like that, where he has unchecked power. Show me the Boasberg that's going to tell him he can't relocate a federal agency. He can. It's part of the executive branch. Just do it. Anyway.
I'm gonna close this one out, fellas, but I will leave the room open. God, what a great show! All right. We gotta do 4 or 5 more shows on this because there's so much more we got to get to on sanitation. And Paul you have first world experience of seeing countries that don't have sanitation. I
Yes,
really
I
think
do.
we could lay this out to people and make them realize that it was actually that was the function of government, even though we hate government. That was the function of government
Yeah.
that made people healthy. It wasn't concocting things that we injected with heavy metals into our body. I will give you both a minute to say whatever you're going to say, or just tell me how beautiful I am.
Well, you brought up the fact that we made America healthy the first time, and I had never
We did.
thought of it that way. So that's your innovative slogan for tonight, Sean, and I'm going to steal that on X and use it. And I'm not going to apologize, and I'm not going to attribute it to you. Anyway, now I will attribute Paul's insights to him because
Yeah.
I
Well,
respect
of
Paul.
course, it's
Anyway,
Paul. It's Paul. Paul, close it out.
I just want to say I'm so blessed to have friends like you guys, and I just
And
love
pizza.
that I found you,
Pizza's just
Sean,
so
that
good.
we can do these. That I never had an outlet before, and quite honestly, I never even thought about saying the stuff I say out loud.
Can you stay online after I close this show out because I want to briefly
just for a few
mention to
minutes.
you
Yeah.
about I want to talk to you about that
Sure.
without saying something live.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
This is
right.
kind of like this is kind of like a congressional committee going into closed session, folks.
It
Sorry, but
is.
occasionally it has to happen. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. All right, let's go.
Boom!
Good night, everybody. We had so much fun. If you're listening in the morning, we hope you had a good drive into the city. By the way,